Hey, what's up, forum? It's Gorilla Hands, and today I'm bringing you a game of Domination on Hanoi. And I actually wanted to talk about graphics in video games. For those of you who may not know, Epic Games just released some new details about what's going to be included in their Unreal 3 engine. And if you're interested, IGN actually did an article about it. I'll include a link to that article in the description. And in that article, they kind of break it down in layman's terms what the big key features that are going to be included in that engine are. And they also include a trailer that showcases those graphics in action. And the cool thing is apparently, that trailer is done in real time. That isn't a pre-render. There was actually, if you guys don't remember, about 6 or 7 years ago, an E3 tech demo for Killzone 2. They showcased the first trailer ever for that game, and it was jaw-dropping. Everybody was just blown away. I mean, it was supposed to be, it was one of the best-looking trailers I've ever seen, even still to this day. But then they stopped talking about the game. They didn't showcase any footage or gameplay for a long time. And the reason for that was because that was what the game was supposed to be able to do on PS3 hardware. That wasn't a real-time execution. That was just a pre-render. So that was a huge fuss. People were pretty upset about that because they felt like they were kind of duped. But this was showcased in here is supposedly real-time, and it looks really cool. It's really awesome. And this part right here, I'm going off in a little side tangent. If you're ever on the A side and the enemy team's capping B, if you can't get there in time, you can always chuck a grenade from any angle on the A side over that B building, and normally you'll pick up a kill. So a little tip there. And I wish I could explain in more detail exactly what's being added in the engine that, makes it look so good. But I've only been working with graphic animation tools, or with Blender, for a couple weeks now, so I really do not know a whole lot about that high-level stuff at all. What I will say, though, is from my experiences in Blender, one of the things I hear a lot is if it doesn't matter how great of a base model or a model that you generate, it doesn't matter how good it looks or how detailed it looks, if the lighting around it sucks. I mean, if you don't have very good lighting, it's just you're not going to be able to see it the way it's meant to be seen. And I know that's a couple of features that are going to be added into the engine. I think for dynamic lighting, they've improved how light reflects off of certain objects. I think they showcase this neon light being reflected off of a puddle at the correct angle that it should be. It creates a realistic effect. The other thing they did was I think it's subsurf scattering, I think was the term they used, or the term that's used, which is how light hits an object, kind of diffuses into that object, scatters about, and exits at a different angle. And situations like that are applicable with human skin. So, if you shine a flashlight next to your skin, you kind of get a glowing effect. You can almost see the veins. So that creates a little bit more of a realistic view. And you'll see that kind of in the trailer, how different parts of his face kind of glow based on how light hits it. Other things, they improve shadow effects from multiple different light sources, so shadows appear the way they're supposed to. And other things include improving, anti-aliasing and something called tessellation, which is supposed to make, simple geometry look much more complex. And the good thing about that is if you can make something look very detailed with a low polygon count versus having to do it with a higher polygon count, that means you just get better performance. So you get more detailed stuff with less memory and less detail, essentially. So it's just better performance. And apparently, the Xbox supports this tessellation, but it's never played. There's never been a game that utilizes that feature. So that'd be pretty cool if they could find a way to incorporate that in the game in the future to get a really good-looking game that also performs really well. But kind of gone off on a technical tangent. How in the world does graphics even apply to Modern or Black Ops? And for those of you who might be following, the COD HQ forums or other, Call of Duty forums, there are groups of people that actually prefer Modern Warfare 2 over Black Ops. And one of the reasons for that there is that they prefer the graphics over Modern Warfare 2 over Black Ops. And for me personally, I think the actual detail and graphical modeling of the characters in this game are negligible. Like, it doesn't really matter to me. I would give the nod to Modern Warfare 2 being slightly better. But in the scheme of things, it's not a big deal. I will say, though, the color scheme, for some reason, the COD 4 World at War engine just has a very drab color scheme, whereas Modern Warfare 2 seemed to brighten that up. So I could see how, in that sense, the visuals and the graphics of that game could be superior to Black Ops. But so that's that's one thing, of how graphics can kind of affect people's perceptions or opinions of a game. But in general, I mean, when you're looking for new games, I mean, when you hear something like the Unreal 3 engine, these new features, do you even care? I mean, how much do graphics matter when a new game comes out? I mean, I will say, my most memorable experience is, playing video games. Um, it doesn't really come from the games that look the best. Like, say, Legend of Zelda: The Ocarina of Time. I mean, that's a horrible looking game. I mean, back then it looked great, but it's really a horrible looking game. But it's one of my favorite games of all time, and had some of the best memories playing that game. And that was because of the game mechanics, not as much the visuals. And it did a good job of portraying the story with limited visuals. Same can be said about Metal Gear Solid, the first one, the PlayStation 1 game. I mean, that also is not a very good looking game, but they did a great job with the elements they had to create a very memorable story. So I don't know. I mean, when you're looking for a new game, or I mean, is that something? I remember as a kid, I used to care, about the N64 and the PlayStation 2. I always used to hear, you're going from 60 or 32 bits to 64 bits to 128. So I was like, oh wow, the graphics. But as I get older, I found that the games I tend to have more fun on are the ones that do a better job of presenting the story or presenting the gameplay mechanics and not having to heavily rely on graphics. So I don't know what I mean. Is that something I guess for the games that are coming out? I mean, like say maybe Gears of War 3 or Oblivion. Would you prefer them to put more time on improving the graphics engines of it, or would you even care if they came out and said the graphics are going to be worse than previous titles, but we're going to include some amazing gameplay elements that's never been done before, so it's really going to enhance the experience. I don't know. It's kind of a fine line. Because there's certain things in games that you can't convey accurately unless you have a strong graphical engine. Like say you have a really huge set piece, like the final battle on some extremely large scale. Obviously, that climactic battle or that scene loses a lot of feeling to it if you can't get a very good visual representation. So if a game's going for a very cinematic, very large feel, and they can't do that with their engine, then that doesn't make it as memorable and kind of takes you out of it. Another thing is, if you're having conversations with the character, say, it's a crucial dialogue, if their lip syncing doesn't work correctly, like say they just can't achieve it, they just don't have the capacity to create kind of a natural looking feel. I personally notice that it kind of takes me out of the element because I'm just sitting there and it's like you're like looking at like a robot talking or something like that. So they definitely can make a big impact on how you perceive and how you judge certain games, especially maybe a single-player game or an RPG game that's very story-driven. Being able to create a strong cinematic feel that backs up your story could be the difference between you viewing it as a mediocre game or you viewing it as an extremely memorable game. But again, I think where graphics I think really are kind of important are single-player games. I definitely love graphical improvements in multiplayer games, but it's not as important to me. But I am curious about this tessellation thing where they're getting a little bit more detail without having the same amount of performance costs. So maybe hopefully we can get how the single player game always looks so much better than the multiplayer element. It would be kind of cool to kind of maybe level it out and see how that plays out. But final score is 52 kills, 4 deaths, 3 captures, and 6 defends. Just let me know how big graphics play a role in your video games, if they're important or if you don't even care at all. And as always, guys, take it easy.